Hey everyone, this is Siba, and I have Don with me from Pickleball RX. So today we are talking about cold crush paddles, right? So I have with me two Proton Series 4s, same company, same um, generation paddle, and bought at the same time, right? One of them is core crushed, the other one is not core crushed.
Yeah.
So in terms of what do you mean by core crush, right? So the traditionally like Gen 2 and some of the Gen 3 paddles have honeycomb polypropylene core, right? So that like how the beehive structure is, that's how those cores were built. Now with those paddles, they provided the stability, sweet spot, power, but then the issue what happened was core crushing. So the more you hit the more you play, the more you hit the ball harder, the core was crushed, and that kind of created another problem. So that's why now we have the Gen 4, which is all the fully foam paddles.
Right.
So they don't have that structure to collapse, so they're at lower risk of having that core crushing. Now, identifying a core crush paddle is important, for a few things. One, obviously your paddle is not performing to the level what you want, and two, for claiming the warranty. So if your paddle is core crushed and you claim warranty, you get a new paddle, right? In my experience so far, I've seen some paddles in particular are at risk of having core crush.
Yeah.
I've seen Proton Series 3.
Yep. I hear a lot about Proton being crushed. And
It is 4 now. Eula mod, right? Mod PM.
Yep. The mod.
And the Honolulu one, one of their J2 tier or something. So they're all at like high risk of core crushing. Now, how do I identify if my paddle is core crushed, right? So you've been playing with one of those Gen 2, Gen 3 paddles for some time, and suddenly you see that the paddle is not consistent, right? Like the sweet spot is not consistent. Sometimes you see there is like a lot of dead spots, or sometimes you see the paddle is trampolining off, right?
Yeah.
So that's the first thing you notice. And then the change of sound. I mean, it becomes kind of dull depending on where the paddle hits. So you hear that hollow, dull sound, from like that's the change you will notice whenever you're playing. So nice plush sound, right? Now let me get the core crust. It's dumb, mute. The good. So how do we know that my paddle is core crushed? Is the simple test. What I do is, you get the paddle like close to your ear and kind of press like that. And if you hear like a crackling creeper, like a crunching sound, I mean that's when you know that the paddle is core crushed.
Okay. Yeah.
Like for example, this one. I mean, I know that it's core crushed on the top. So, but I know like some people, even though they know that their paddle is core crushed, they kind of use it for their advantage. Because with the core crush, what happens is you get insane amounts of power depending on the way you hit the paddle. So some of them take advantage of that, right? I mean, technically it's still legal, USA Pickleball approved. So I've noticed some of the players use this to their advantage, because with this paddle, right, as you could see, my serve speeds were 5 to 6 miles per hour faster. When I get it put away, I mean, you're not seeing the ball back, that's how much the core crushing sometimes can help. So identify your paddle if it's core crush, try to get your warranty. And if you are playing in a tournament, playing somewhere in a rec center where you hear that, the sound is different, and then you touch the paddle and see it's core crush, I advise you just be aware of that. Because you can get hurt, right?
Yeah,
especially in the speed ups. The ball is going to come back so fast.
Still unpredictable.
So I make myself clear, like if I see someone playing with core crush paddle and hitting the ball really hard, I tell them like, I'm not playing at this point.
And they might not even know. They might even know.
Yeah, some people don't know that their paddle is core crush and they can be eligible for a warranty. So that's something to keep an eye out. But I personally wouldn't play against them just because of the risk of, getting injured myself. So just keep that in mind as well.
Yeah.
All right. That's it, guys. This is about paddle core crush, Gen 2, Gen 3. Luckily, the Gen 4s, where they're not at risk of having core crush is what I heard. So we hopefully would be avoiding that problem. So
if you're sucking, it could be your paddle this time.
Yep. This is Siva and Don again signing off from Pickleball RX. Please like, share, and subscribe to our channel if you like our content. Thank you again.
All right. Take care, guys.